Hi, welcome to Evidence for Faith. It's your host, Michael Lane, as we're continuing in our series on David and the giants, and as we're looking at actual evidence that King David did live. We've already looked at three major pieces of evidence and one minor piece of evidence. The minor one we did in the last lesson was on slings. This lesson, we're going to be exploring another piece of evidence. Can't bring this one into the studio because what this piece is a recent discovery, and this is massively important. It's the existence of David's palace in Jerusalem. So this is going to take place in the old city of Jerusalem, just to the south of the Temple Mount, in the city of David. It's a tourist site today, and you can now actually walk in there and have tours seeing the remains of David's palace and why we believe it's David's palace. So let's jump into this lesson and take a look and walk into David's palace. A second piece of evidence I want to present to you, we have some photographs of this. It's King David's palace. Now, King David's palace is recorded in 2 Samuel. 2 Samuel chapter 5, verse 11 reads, "And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent messengers to David and cedar trees, also carpenters and masons who built David a house." So David had a house built, and it would be a palace is what we're talking about because he's the king. So it's going to be a palace that's built. Well, beginning back in 2005, the late brilliant archaeologist Eilat Mazar, she made her life work was working around the city of David. She worked on many other details, but this was the bulk, what is called the Temple Mount area. Matter of fact, I even have one of her books that talking about the excavations taking place starting in 2005. And she was seeing what is there. And she really thought everything that she found supported the Bible. She was a person, and one of the archaeologists, that the more she studied archaeology, the more she saw the Bible coming true. And in an area that archaeologists, when they dig, they square off certain sections in modern archaeology, and they give them letters. So in an area that was called Area H, this area, she started digging a lot. But it wasn't the first people who did that. She was doing this starting in 2005. Going back into the 1920s, there was two archaeologists by the name of R.A.S. Macalister and J. Garrow Duncan. They started digging there in Jerusalem before Jerusalem was all built up and stuff. And they found, back in the 1920s, massive walls, apparently of some type of building. They didn't understand what it was. That was in the 1920s. Now, you keep studying things, and we get to the 1960s, Dame Kathleen Kenyon actually came to that area also and started investigating it and excavating in there. What she found back in the 1960s, she found broken pottery and all sorts of things indicating that this was a grand house or building of some sort that was probably a royal palace that dated back to the 10th and 11th centuries BC. That fits the time frame of David. We have some pictures here that that we at Evidence for Faith have taken showing these massive walls and many rooms that you find there. If you go to Israel today, you can walk in there. The first time I went, it wasn't open to the public. The first couple of times, in fact. Now, today, they have opened a lot of this up. And you can go in and you can see rooms, and they have found all sorts of other artifacts inside of here, that this definitely was a palace. But one thing they found was a massive 6 to 8 foot wide wall. People are not going to build their house with walls that big. This had to be some huge building to have walls that thick. But what also they found were this massive column. Here's a picture of it. It's a capital on a column. The capital is the cap of columns. We see a lot of these in Greece and Rome. But the Jews had these also. This is dating back to a Proto-Eloic capital period, and it became this symbol that you're seeing here. We have this picture showing almost like a ram's horn on each side with a V, an inverted V. This became symbolic of the symbol of Israel. As a matter of fact, it's still used on coins today, shekels that they have there. Some of the shekels have that exact same image on it to this day. She found these capitals there, and they have found more in this area. Just a few years ago, there was a lot of news, a lot of action in the news and stuff, a lot of excitement because they found some more. That these were massive columns dating back to the time of David and of Solomon and found in this area, thus showing there was a palace here. So, no, David's name doesn't appear on it. He didn't write with graffiti on it or spray paint it. But this fits with what Dr. Mazar said. This fits David's palace. And it fits the time frame with the pottery and everything else. This fits that he did have a palace here, that it was his palace, and that the Bible is true.
Support the show. Become a donor at evidenceforfaith.org/give.